how are you that productive? Like, how do you do this every single day?
Well, I think we have to define productive because it's interesting to Garrett's question, right? Like, you mean how am I actually physically executing that many? I would argue that I'm not so outrageously productive.
So I guess the first question.
You know what I mean? Let's break it down.
So I guess the first question would be, what is your definition of productivity? Is it hustle? Because every time I think about productivity, I just think about.
I think results.
Okay.
You know, like when I think of productivity, I think about results, and then I think about short-term results and long-term results. Like, I feel like the Ask Garyvee show was a productive venture because I'm very humbled right now that all of you came here today, and it makes me super duper happy, right? I can also think it's productive because multiple companies have now paid me instead of going and publicly speaking because I can't make every event. They've actually paid me for a custom version of the Ask Garyvee show. So that was productive. I get paid a lot of money for that. That seemed pretty cool. I like that. I also think it's productive because my next book that comes out in February is gonna be called Ask Garyvee, and the whole thematic around it is that, so that's gonna be productive. So there's a lot of different ways it depends on how one defines productivity, number one. To me, it's the output. And so you guys heard insight into another thing, right? This 7-person team is giving me a blueprint that I'm pushing against to try to figure out a bigger business model. I mean, look, my marketing activity for Wine Library was productive because I grew my family business to a big business. It also became the output of my learnings that became the foundation of my personal brand, which became the beacon to building the fastest growing social digital agency ever, right? Like, so, like I'm doing things that people feel are not scalable in the moment that I find to be very scalable if you're willing to look at them in a 5 to 10 year window. Got it?
Yeah.
Like, was it productive for me to take that meeting with Chris Desi when he randomly emailed me and said, hey, will you take this meeting? And I said, sure, which then led to a 15-minute, I'm just gonna pay forward to this kid moment, which I love to do, because you never know. Well, in this time, I didn't know, because it led to he being one of the early employees at VaynerMedia, which was a company Mike Lazzaro had, and I will tell you that that led to free office space at for VaynerMedia when we started it in the conference room at VaynerMedia. It also led to me giving a quote to Mike Lazzaro for VaynerMedia where he gave me warrants to his company, which later sold for $1 billion to Salesforce. So I made 7 figures on a quote to a website. So I'd call that productive for that 15-minute meeting. But it also led to a friendship that has become one of the core friendships for Lizzie and I. And this Saturday night, I got to spend time with a very small group for his oldest son's bar mitzvah. And the speech that the son gave and the speech that Mike gave is something that is engraved in my heart for the rest of my life. I call that productive. But then there's a billion 15-minute meetings that I take where the kid's a piece of shit and nothing good happened. So when you play it in a net game, I think that people are overthinking their at-bats, right? And I think intent matters. I think people are trying to be too technically sound, they're not allowing for serendipity. And serendipity is where all the magic is, my friends. All of it.
And I'm meeting with all these VCs, and they look at me, and I look like I'm 12 years old, and they're like, you know, what the fuck do you know?
Yep.
So I explain the problem. They're like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Like, we really like that, but leave it to the grown-ups. And I was going, you know, fuck you and your receding hairline.
Dude, I'm losing hair, so watch yourself. Go ahead.
So how do I get like respect from them and actually make them see eye to eye like I'm not, you know, a little kid who's tackling a big problem?
You know, look, I think the truth is, that's interesting to me because I would tell you, like, I have no empathy for you because this is the greatest era of all time of kids getting disproportional respect because we've seen technology grow. And you know, I was looking at the 30 and 40-year-olds in this audience who were like, we wish we were allowed to do anything but go grab the coffee 20 years ago. So I promise you, like, you're getting way more respect. The fact that a VC is willing to see you is like way advanced compared to where it was 5 or 10 or 15 years ago. I would say this though, and look, you need to raise money, right? Like, you're not going to see them to go see their receding hairline. You're going because you want their money.
Yes, exactly.
I want to align you on some respect factor. You're going to ask somebody for their money, right? So, you know, we're in a place now where money's flowing so freely, but I would also keep that chip on your shoulder because that's great. I love that. The best thing to do, and I've said this before in the show, is sell to people that are willing to buy. To me, the second I feel any indication that somebody's not interested, like, I'll give you a good example. If I went on a VC pitch and it was allocated for 45 minutes, and if you sniffed out that they're just like, they're out, I would cut the meeting short. I want that 30 minutes back, right? So I would tell you to sell to people that are interested versus trying to get somebody and sell it to them. I'm never selling to anybody but the market that's attracted. I'm selling to you guys. You're attracted to this content. I appreciate that. I'm not trying to convince anybody else that this is right. I'm just gonna go out and prove it. You know, so I would first, it sounds like you need money. I've never gone out and raised money. I just do shit, make money, and then go back and tell you I told you so, right? That, you know, and so for me, it sounds like you need dollars, cool, but money's easy. Go find the people that wanna find their Polish Mark Zuckerberg, take their money and go and execute.
The thing is, I've been here for 7 days in New York, so I've kind of have an uphill battle, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm not sure what that even meant. Meaning like
going into a bar where they only let me in because I'm 20, so
right.
I already get like shut down at the
right.
bar where all the networking events are. So I've actually been standing outside of like Wall Street firms and like hitting up people.
I think your strategy was fucked up then, right? Like,
why?
well, I mean, there's two ways to look at. Well, I mean, your strategy is not fucked up. If you hustle to get to New York, right, from Poland to try to raise money, then that's awesome. But then I wouldn't be woe is me about that. Like, dude, I fucking work 19 hours a day. Like everybody's got struggles.
20.
What's that?
I work 20.
Cool. I work 21. So I here's what I think. I think that you've clearly got hustle, right?
Right.
And like, I guess let's go backwards. Let's make it the Ask the Polish Kids show.
Okay. Bring it.
What do you need right now? Money?
Yes.
Cool. I think money's shockingly easy. So what I would tell you is, I would have, before I came to New York and knocked on doors, I would have used the internet, new thing, and I would have emailed people, hit them up on Twitter, done different things to try to have much warmer meetings in place. How many meetings did you have in place when you got here?
I had about 7.
So that's good. I mean, so how did those go?
It went well, but they looked at me like I was 20 years old and said, this is a way too complex problem to solve for a gen kid. We'll give the money to someone who's older and has more experience.
I disagree. I think that's what you want to think they thought.
Well, I mean, a few of them told me, and I said, you know,
yeah,
I'm not gonna say it.
By the way, I bet you that they said that to you because a lot of people are bad at giving critical advice. Right. They probably just used that as an excuse. Because I promise you, I know every fucking VC in the game, and they're pumped to give a 20-year-old money. They just want to give it to something they believe in. I think one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make, especially as they grow their business, or in the beginning when they're crippled by this thought of quality work versus just doing it, you know, like smart work versus just work, is when you start judging it too much, you start leaving yourself out of opportunity for serendipity and upside that you can't see. There's been a lot of things that on paper may look like busy work, going to get, you know, just kissing babies and shaking hands, or just replying to everybody on Twitter, things that not everybody thinks is the best scalable use of my time, that has led to enormous upside because it wasn't obvious when you first did it. Including a video show, including 10 years ago in a month, sitting upstairs doing a video show where everybody's like, we needed you that hour to sell wine or to reorganize our operations. Why are you putting a video on YouTube? What is YouTube? Like, got it? It ended up being the single biggest decision of my career up to this point, transitioning myself into a media property and a brand from just being an operator on this floor. Wasn't obvious, felt like it could have been busy work. And there's been other things that I've done like that have been busy work. You know, I'm trying to think of a good example, but like a million things that we've stopped and started that didn't become real. It happens with us every day in our team. So I think that, I think you don't always know. I think you find out after the fact. And I think to have a long 40 to 60-year-old professional career that's successful, as long as you're learning in year 1, 3, 7, 9, 12 patterns, start becoming more self-aware about yourself, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, you start having less just busy work and more high impact work, and that's what's happened in my career.